Yao Ming is celebrated as one of the tallest NBA players to ever join the league. And height is an undeniable factor when it comes towards dominating in NBA 2K25. Today we dive into a build with max height, max shooting potential, creating a replica of Yao Ming in NBA 2K25 Next Gen. In his area, Yao was the tallest player by far, making him nearly unguardable due to his height alone. And if we were to see the exact height of Yao Ming in NBA 2K25, archetypes with that stature would be overwhelmingly overpowered. I can already hear the community's complaints if we were to unlock the full capabilities and physical presence of players like Yao Ming, and even modern day giants like Bobo, Victor Wembanyama give us a small glimpse of what Yao once represented in the NBA. Despite his towering height, Yao was not just a physical presence on the court at all times, but he could handle the ball, orchestrate plays, shoot from distance, and score in the paint, while also being able to be one of the best interior defenders. This archetype in NBA 2K25 is one you'll definitely enjoy using. Given the movement and dribbling mechanics this year, you're definitely going to be able to be moving smooth. You know, we've been given so much freedom in how we can create builds and actually move on the court with the amount of dribble animations unlocked this year. Specifically on the offensive side, this is one of the most fluid big man builds that I've played with. Not only can I spam side-to-side crossovers, but I can easily transition into a three-point shot mid-range, and this makes it one of the deadliest max height center builds in the game this year. So for this build, you know, it's really optional. I tend to go with at least a 40 ball handle. If you want to go anything higher or lower, that's completely up to you throughout this build. I'll put the attributes and everything on screen. So this build is focused heavily on that offensive side, especially when it comes towards post scoring, shooting, and defense. I think that's what truly does represent Yao Ming, and these were areas in which I felt were going to be crucial. Now on defense, you know, you are leveraging your height and wingspan, and even the weight to really compensate for the limited attributes that we have come with this archetype. And there's a noticeable difference when it comes towards the offense and defensive capabilities, but the movement on the offense I think is super smooth, especially even if you got a little bit of defensive IQ. This archetype is really going to give you a huge advantage on both ends of the floor. So the animations that you choose for this build are crucial, and if you want to go ahead and check out what I use, I'll put a little pop-up card on the screen right here. And you know, you're somewhat limited when it comes towards the shooting bases and releases, but as far as for the jump shots themselves, you're definitely going to be able to be a threat from outside, and not to mention the post moves and dribble animations. I would say this build, with the way that I'm moving, I think it's perfect. So the limitations can really be turned into strengths, especially if you tailor the build to your own playstyle. Now, on this archetype, I really like enjoying max height centers that can do a little bit of everything, whether on the defense or offensive side. But the offense is really, you know, one of the bigger advantages of this build. And for a max height center, I think this is probably one of the biggest exploits in the game. And I particularly like to use this build in the 1v1 setting. You know, it's not just about the size, but being an all-around threat on that offensive side as well. And I can say it's one of the strongest builds that I've actually ever played with, especially at the max height. You know, something that I've really noticed this year is that there's a stigma with the max height centers in NBA 2K25. So the assumption is that you're only going to stick to the interior, you know, using back downs, drop steps, or even any other type of post move. But this build really challenges that notion on defense. You know, I've equipped this archetype with enough shooting to be effective outside and consistent, as you can see. And, you know, that really does catch the defenses off guard, and especially with the fact that they do leave me open on the top of the key. I think this is one of the best catfish builds that you can make for being, you know, that two-way hybrid post-scoring sharpshooter. This is exactly that build, and you know, I'm pretty happy if you want to maintain at least bronze limitless range on the max height. That's something that's definitely possible, and you know, you do unlock a good amount of the best jump shots, bases, and releases for this archetype to bring consistently. And I'll go ahead and put a pop-up card of some other jump shots that you can go ahead and check out another video. So maybe if you decide to change the wingspan or anything towards the shooting, you can potentially unlock different jump shots. That's another option as well. You know, me personally, this build does remind me of those 7'3" stretch bigs back from NBA 2K15, and that's where max height, max wingspan, and maximum shooting builds were the meta outside centers, and this build low-key does give me that nostalgic feeling. To this kind of build, it really allows you to dribble and move the ball like the good old days, and when you can really assert your dominance on that defensive end, that is one of the best things about this archetype. And you know, what I really appreciate is that it's really versatile on both ends of the floor. So if you prefer to be a post scorer, this build definitely has the attributes equipped. You can back down your opponents, also utilize that height as an advantage, and I would say this build is designed to be that hybrid center, you know, capable of shooting, post scoring, defending on both inside and out, but with the height being the pivotal physical attribute, and you know, for really getting stops on both ends of the court, I think this build is perfect. You know, I've used this archetype in a lineup with two centers, and I can say on that defensive end, man, I think it's one of the best things that I've come across. And even when defending in the post or out on the perimeter, I think this build lacks nothing. So whichever you prioritize on this build, it's all going to come down to your personal preference. But this Yao Ming build isn't just about size, it's really about, you know, capturing his unique presence in the league. And even standing next to Shaquille O'Neal, man, it's crazy because Yao Ming still looked like a giant compared to him. You know, and that really emphasizes what uniqueness truly used to be back in the good old NBA days. And even to get a small glimpse of this in NBA 2K25 is something that I think is really special. You know, even though Yao Ming's career ended shorter than we have hoped, I can say that Yao Ming's impact is still felt across the league today. And even when it comes towards the CBA, yo, Yao Ming's a legend, man. So to be able to make that big of an impact, it really shows you how special of a player he was. And you know, it's not about just being a fierce competitor, but he really left an incredible mark in the NBA. And I always strive to bring y'all the most unique builds and players just like Yao Ming. You know, he's really become one of my favorite players of all time, and builds to use this year in NBA 2K25. It's not about just being able to play like him, but being able to show you an era of what we used to have back in the NBA days. You know, I can say that the competition is not what it used to be, and players are really opting to join forces with each other rather than take each other down. And I feel like that is something that is actually missed in today's super team era. Instead of taking rivals down, you know, we're seeing more teams jump together. And you know, in conclusion, I can say that this Yao Ming build in NBA 2K25 is not only about height, it's about embodying the spirit of a player who changed the game. And you know, this Yao Ming build in NBA 2K25 is more than just about hype, but it's really embodying one of the most competitive spirits of any player that we've ever seen in Yao Ming. You know, this archetype really allows you to leave your team on both ends of the floor, and you can really control the game's rhythm. You know, you pose a threat from anywhere on the court, and I think that's exactly what Yao Ming encouraged. So, you know, I want y'all to go ahead and try out a build like this. If you already have a 7'3" center, how does yours match up compared to this one? For those of you who have been playing NBA 2K for years, how do you feel builds compared to the stretch bigs from the previous 2Ks? And I think this is one of the best unique archetypes of Yao Ming that you can actually make this year in NBA 2K25. You know, y'all responses in the comments have been amazing, and I truly just want to say thank every single one of y'all, the Rich family. God bless you. Let me know, what are y'all thinking about this build down below? And if you have a certain NBA player or archetype that you want me to go after in the next video, be sure to comment down below, and I'll definitely take that into consideration. You know, I've had so much fun playing on this build, from being able to dribble on a 7'3" big man. It's one of the most unique things that you can do this year in NBA 2K25. I'll be sure to put a little pop-up card of how to do this crossover 16 back from the OG 2K15 days. And for those of y'all who know, man, you're gonna appreciate this one. So when it comes towards dribbling, I can say also that a lot of the defenses that I go up against do not expect me to be moving as fast as I can. And just to give you a little tip, that is actually escape move, basic. Once you learn how to spam it, I promise you, you'll learn it from that video if you click on it. But this is going to turn you into one of the best hybrid big men, because it really does allow you to dribble on just about any build and position. Whether you have 25 ball handle or 99, it's still one of the easiest moves to combo with and out of. So once again, I just want to say thank you so much for your support, And if it was your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Smash that like button. Turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family. And last but definitely not least, with all that being said though, I got one last thing to say. Comment down TG for thank God and where you're tuning in from, and I'll definitely be sure to get back to you with a response. And I just gotta say thank the Lord above, King Jesus, for another day and another opportunity. And Rich out.